Hey guys, this is The Villain's Demand. I'm Evan the Great, and this is JVD. We're here to give you another episode of Behind the Mask.
And today, we're covering Blade, the Daywalker, known as Eric Brooks, Marvel's most notorious, if not only, vampire hunter. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with Blade due to the trilogy he had there in, starting with, I think, in 99, 98?
I almost watched it yesterday.
Really?
They put it on Netflix, and for those who don't know, I like the first Blade movie a lot.
I don't really hate any of them.
They're not bad, but the first one I love.
And and a lot of people don't realize, if it wasn't for that first Blade movie, you wouldn't have an MCU.
Yeah, Blade and then the X-Men.
And then the X-Men, right. I mean, and the X-Men come out 2 years before Spider-Man even come out. So, you should go and thank Blade, especially Wesley Snipes, if you see him. And, thank him, because there'd be no MCU. And a little known fact, a lot of people don't forget that this is where Ryan Reynolds started in comic books. He was
forgot about that.
Was it the second or third one? I think it's the third one he's in. So, he plays Hannibal. So, just some unknown facts. But let's get into this bio for Behind the Mask for Blade. Let's start off with everybody's favorite things, weapons. Being a vampire hunter, it's very obvious Blade carries your typical vampire hunting gear. Wooden stakes. Now, as in typical, when I say that, wooden stakes is about as typical as it gets. Sure, he uses garlic and silver, but usually he puts those in the tips of bullets. Also, with UV light emitting tips for those too. So, with that, Blade also carries guns.
Yep.
Yeah, this isn't Van Helsing. He's not using stakes and crossbows. He's using guns.
That would be a cool team up.
Well, yeah. Technically, I think that Van Helsing would kill Blade.
No, it'd be a cool team up.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, I don't know if he would team up with Blade, because technically, he's still a vampire.
He is.
So, and the thing is, I don't think he'd kill Blade.
No.
So, unless we're talking about Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, who was Van Helsing and turned into a werewolf.
I love Van Helsing.
I like that movie.
I never thought about that.
I love Kate Beckinsale. So
interesting.
Anyway, so but yes, but the one thing that he is really known for is his twin katanas.
Yes.
Now, I have seen, which obviously they're acid etched titanium. They're made to be perfectly balanced and lightweight, and the edges etched just enough so it applies the maximum amount of force with each swing.
Yep.
I've also read that these are also adamantium.
That's what I was going to tell you. They are actually adamantine.
So we need to make a decision there. Are these typical titanium swords, which you do get in the movie?
Yeah.
Which were really cool because it's got the little grip thing that cut your fingers off and stuff. Or are they adamantium, which seems to be, as we talked about in Craven, everybody seems to have adamantium now.
I really don't know. I mean, most sources say that he carries around the adamantium blade more recently, I guess.
Yes.
But I like the other ones better. But we can't go by what Evan the Great likes.
So, but it's a thing because it matters because it makes him more effective when we do crossover collision. Yeah. I personally prefer the titanium blades. I think that's what he's really known for. It's more like we talked about with Craven. Well, we said Craven did have an adamantium hunting knife, and that was just something that's more recent too. So, screw it. Everybody has adamantium.
I was going to say I kind of want to go with adamantium just because it fits more of the what he would carry nowadays.
He would carry what's best for him. So all right, so he's got these twin adamantium katanas. He also wears body armor because for some reason vampires like to carry guns.
Yeah.
But it's not so much just for vampires. He crosses over a lot back in the 90s, a lot with Punisher.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he is used to being shot at. I mean, guys do carry guns. And the thing is, he wears the body armor. And it's not so much for vampires, but it's people that guard vampires during the day.
Yeah.
Because they're physically no match for him, so they just shoot at him.
Yeah.
Because even though you technically cannot kill a vampire with a gun, unless you use the type of bullets blades do, you can really slow a vampire down.
Yeah.
If you heard that, that's our third member of Behind the Mask, my dog Boston. So he's just sitting here chilling with us today. You have to ignore him. Yes, he's
talking to an imaginary dog, guys.
Yeah, it's an imaginary dog. You can't see it. But that's mainly the throwing knives. He's very big on throwing knives.
They're made out of teak wood.
Teak wood. Well, teak wood daggers.
Yeah.
But I mean, he is known for throwing knives. He does carry throwing knives. But other than that, he doesn't really. Serum. He carries a serum with him. And I guess we'll talk about that as really Blade's only weakness. Blade carries a serum that satisfies his bloodlust as a vampire, because he still has to technically get his, I guess, nutrients, you would call it, from blood. He still has that as being a vampire. So if he does not get his serum, he goes into a bloodlusting rage. And I would say that's much like watching Wolverine go into a berserker rage. I mean, he becomes out of control.
Interesting information involving his bloodlust. He did a quest. Well, he didn't know. He's forced to do it, basically, by Doom. I don't know if you read up on that. And doing so, he's supposed to go save his mother. He actually saves Doom's mother as well. And in return, Doom gives him a cure for that, and he'd never used it. To take away the thirst for blood, but still have all the other abilities. And he said that basically that's what he remembers of what he is, and without that, he might not.
Well, I guess that's true.
So interesting.
And also, in a pinch,
I don't know how long ago that was. I researched it and found it.
I think that's like I think that's a Blade series you picked up around Civil War.
It might be
the first Civil War. And the thing is, as much as it's considered a weakness in a fight, Blade fights a lot of superpowered beings.
Yeah, that
could be used in an advantage too. So I mean, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, in the type of way.
Yep.
So it's really the only weakness he has.
Yeah.
Speaking of, he has a lot of immunities when we start talking about the physical abilities of Blade. He has all the positives of a vampire and suffers none of the negative effects.
Correct.
So he is immune to sunlight. He's immune to silver and religious artifacts that repel vampires.
Yep.
He's also has resistance to psychic attacks, being a supernatural creature.
Yep.
And that seems to be one thing that a lot of people don't forget about Blade. They just think, because he's a superhero, they see superhero, but they forget that he's supernatural. So he's not your typical superhero.
And the reason he has all these strengths, all the strengths of a vampire, originally he did not.
Yes.
He had the vice versa, but this vampire named Morbius bit him.
The living vampire.
I thought I'd bring it up because I love Morbius,
yes.
And it altered Blade to give him all the strength and none of the weaknesses.
Yes, and which is what we're about to dive into. He has a regeneration.
Yep.
Not to the degree where it's like Wolverine and Deadpool were, and I hate saying that it's about Wolverine, because Wolverine technically does not lose limbs. He has an animated skeleton. But where he cannot regenerate missing body parts. So if you cut off his leg, his leg's missing. But it's fast enough that fire won't bother him, bullets don't bother him, being impaled doesn't bother him. Wolverine's even been on record to state, speaking of Blade doing that Civil War stuff, it's on par with his. But like I said, the severe damage really slows him down. I can think of a time when he was Ronin, and he got gutted in a fight, and he just had to crawl away because it took him so long to recover from that. And once it seemed like the fight was over and everybody was clear and free, he was able to heal from it. So it took him quite a long time. So severe damage, like gutting him, spilling his intestines and whatnot, will sufficiently slow him down and take him out of a fight. But stabs, cuts, impalement, really not going to slow him down. He's also gained a danger sense. He can sense the supernatural, almost kind of like Spider-Man senses regular danger. His enhanced senses from this are most vampires. I would say there's very few vampires in Marvel that you would recognize with the name Dracula, obviously one of them. Raz Akido, I think is his name. He kind of showed up there around Fear itself. He's one of the other guys I can't think of. I can't really get his name right all of a sudden. But other than that, I can't really name any solid... Baron Blood.
Yeah,
if you want to call him a vampire. You mentioned Morbius, who's not your typical vampire.
Scientific vampire.
Yeah, the living vampire plasma. But he also has these senses of clarity of vision, including night vision over long distances.
Yep.
And like I said, works perfectly in the dark. Not as in the dark outside, but if you're in a warehouse with no lights and no windows where it's pitch black, he can see you perfectly. His sense of smell is so great, much like Wolverine in a way, where he can pick up certain scents on people. He once realized the Punisher was sneaking up on him, so he can memorize people's smells. So his enhanced sense of everything is really good. Now that we talked about with his strength, now this is where Blade gets a little tricky.
Yep.
A lot of people list him around 1 ton, which personally is the debate that he's more like a 5 to 10 ton, and I say more around 5 ton.
Yeah.
What do you say?
About the same. I think he's around a 5 or 10 ton. Just on his feats and his things he's done in the comic books, they're got to be greater than 1 ton.
Yeah, I mean, you see him ripping open steel doors. I think he even ripped open a steel door in a plane.
Yeah.
Door in a plane. So that just says enough because you have the force of the plane. Yeah, flying.
He jumps out of the plane, grabs a hold of it with one hand, and rips the door off with the other.
Exactly. So, I mean, that takes quite a bit of strength. And, I mean, typically you'll see him breaking free of, like, steel handcuffs, punching through walls, jumping through walls. But in the fact that he's Manhandler of this vampiric Spider-Man.
Yeah, I read about that.
So, and Spider-Man's a 10-tonner. So, I mean, that right there should just show you that he is far stronger than what most places will have him listed. So, we're agreeing that he's about 5 tons. So, that makes him stronger than Captain America.
Yeah.
Not as strong as Spider-Man, which sounds about right.
That is exactly where I'd put him at, in between Cap and Spider-Man.
With his strength, he's got great agility. And they always say it's better than most vampires. He has been seen leaping thousands of feet into the air, which I kind of find that wording weird. I would say it's more hundreds than thousands. Because if you think 1,000 feet is literally like over almost a quarter of a mile, I cannot see him jumping that high. But hundreds of feet in the air, yes, that makes a lot of sense. He's super fast, but not as fast as the purest vampire, which I found that very odd. Even looking at that. Which that seems to be the one thing from vampire strengths that he doesn't have. He's fast, but not as fast as a vampire. And he has perfect balance.
Yes.
Which makes a lot of sense. And that's one thing it always seems like with superheroes and whatnot, that you don't ever see somebody talking about perfect balance in a character. It's always they're super fast and super agile, but you never hear about their balance. And balance is important when fighting.
Yep. With his speed, just a few little things I had. His speed and I guess his agility and his reaction time are quick enough to dodge a barrage of bullets.
Yes.
And deflect them with his blade at the same time.
That's what I was just about to get to.
Go ahead, sorry.
And dodging bullets is something that, is typical superhero thing. But to dodge and move and deflect them with swords is a totally different story. So that just shows you how fast he and his reaction time is. One thing he's gained from vampires is he can hypnotize his opponents, which becomes very useful in fights, especially if you're fighting against somebody that's maybe your equal and you can't defeat. Like every great comic book character, he's a master martial artist.
He is. Somewhere in my notes, there it is. I have a few forms that he's, there's a bunch of it he's mastered, but what is it? What's the one that Bruce Lee has? Jeet Kune Do, whatever.
Jeet Kune Do.
I hope I'm not. I'm butchering that, but he has like karate and that, and ninjutsu, boxing, and then the knife fighting.
Yeah.
And the sword fighting.
At least he's not Batman, and it's like 127. But that combined with strength, he has defeated 4 Doombots unarmed.
Yep.
Now, what a lot of people don't realize is there's different levels of Doombots. Not every Doom is considered Doom's equal. Not every Doombot is. Some Doombots are just robots. So, but just defeat 4 of them on your own is pretty impressive. He's an expert marksman.
Yes.
And an expert swordsman. So, which obviously makes a lot of sense. He carries twin katanas.
Speaking of the swords, sorry to cut you off there. This is some feats that I've researched through different things. He is his swords are also he's able to turn them and block bullets, which is insane. Because there's always the videos of bullets going and they slice at him. He can turn his tilt and block them. So his hand and eye coordination is that good.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. But in that, to me, I've always thought Blade was a character that does not get enough love in Marvel.
He don't.
He was very mainstream there in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because, you had that. You had Ghost Rider was very popular at the time. You had the Midnight Sun, which he's always been a part of. Spirits of Vengeance. And he's really kind of died off since that time. But if you're interested in learning more about Blade and you want something very important, Blade's first appearance is in Tomb of Dracula, number 10. So if that's a book you would like to get your hands on, I know I would. I don't have one. I don't think I own a book from Tomb of Dracula. But with that, this has been Behind the Mask for the Villains Man. I'm JVD.
I'm Evan the Great.
Keep reading, guys.